cannot believe how long it took to get the decks to look like this. Like a Thanksgiving cactus. I don't know why it's like blooming again, because it's just not Thanksgiving anymore. Anyone else like make really weird noises when they stretch? Like I sound like a zombie when I stretch. Hello. Welcome back to my witch obsession. And in today's pick a deck, pick a card reading, we are going to be asking about your career and finances. I've been looking for readings on this topic and I haven't been able to find that many, so I was like, girl, let me just make one. But yeah, I don't know, I was just like, let's do it. Like I don't know, like so basically in today's reading we're going to be looking at just like any messages regarding your career and finances and like what may be coming towards you in those fields, and at a more practical sense. That's kind of why I like didn't use crystals today, because in my mind I felt like picking a deck as opposed to like picking a crystal and a deck, or like picking a crystal was like there's like a less, not spiritual, but like, you know, like less like emotional take on it, because I feel like, you know, like I would want a reading like this to be more realistic, because hi Taurus moon in the chat. But yeah, sometimes like, you know, not all messages regarding finances have to be like overly saturated with like, you know, spiritual and like emotional things. You know, sometimes it's just like you need to know what's just next, you know? So yeah, that's what we'll be looking at in today's reading. We have four piles here, as you can as you see. And so we have pile 1 with the Way of the Panda Tarot, pile 2 with the 5 Cent Tarot, pile 3 with the Mermaid Tarot, and then pile 4 with the Black Lion Tarot. Timestamps will be in the description box if you didn't know that, but I need to start saying that. But other than that, please like, comment, and subscribe if my reading style resonates with you. I'm trying to get to 1K right now. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say. So see, if you have already chosen your pile, then move forward to your reading. Other than that, if you want to listen to me ramble for extra minute or two, then hi. Oh my gosh, pile, y'all, I almost said pile, but I realized I'd be sounding kind of like lazy in the videos, but that's because I film in the mornings, like literally like an hour after I get up, and that's why I'd be yawning so much. I don't know, I just like getting the filming out of the way before it gets too dark outside. Even though I probably would produce better, like not better readings, but like I'd be more energetic at night, because I'm low-key a night owl. But what I wanted to tell you guys about is I don't know, I woke up kind of like angry this morning. Uh, if anyone's a Pisces sun or moon, or like you have a 12th house in sun, or like you have a 12th house sun or moon, like girl, let me just tell you, like it's okay. Like I feel like, especially like this 12th house suns, like y'all know what I mean when I say like it's just like constantly carrying like this backbreaking resentment towards your like parents, and like being upset about everything, and then like you're expected to like forgive them. And it's just like, if you're a Scorpio, or like a water placement, or like you have like a sun or moon in like the 4th, 8th, or 12th house, like girl, you don't have to forgive anyone. You don't have to feel a specific way for anyone. If you don't want to forgive, then don't forgive. Like don't do it because you have to, or because like it'll save you the pain later on, or it'll make you feel better. You should forgive because you want to, and you've truly allowed the cause to go by and like pass you by, and that you really are tired of hanging on anymore. But like when you're like me, it's just like girl, like sometimes I just be so upset, and like I hate when people take my emotions personally. But I don't know, like I just, if anyone else out there is struggling with like backbreaking resentment, or like, you know, like heartbreak and, you know, like emotional distress or things like that, just understand that it's okay, and that like it's okay to feel those things, and it's like forgive on your own accord and with your own reasoning, and not to anyone else's benefit, and you'll be fine. Take it from me. But I also encourage you to understand that like your emotions aren't always what's real. I don't know, like I feel like for me, sometimes like my emotions are just my emotions and they don't always correlate to the moment. So, don't take it too seriously. They're just feelings and they can't hurt you. But other than that, I have this candle still and I'm almost out. But I bought another one yesterday and get this, y'all. It was free because I used the app. So if you like going to Bath and Body Works, hop on that app. Just do it. Just thank me later. Okay, just do it. Just do it. Don't think about it. Don't argue with me. Just do it. Thank me later. All right, let's get into your readings. Thank you so much for listening to me. So pile 1, if you chose the Way of the Panda Tarot, this is going to be your reading for your career and finances. And today we're actually going to get straight into the tarot. I don't know, I kind of want to like do a brief reading for the first video of the week, and then the second one will be kind of longer. Because I kind of want to like mix it up, like I read a few comments and they're like, oh yeah, you do a pretty good job of balancing, shorter and longer readings. I was like, oh my god, thank you. But I kind of want to keep that balance going because obviously not everyone has the time to sit through a 30-minute reading, but other people just want them to be 30-minute readings. You can't please everyone, but as a Virgo midheaven, Libra Mars, I can try. But anyways, messages regarding pile 1's career and finances. Messages about the career and finances. What is the tea? Alright, let's see what comes out for you. I'm very interested. So for the first card, we have Empress. I think I'm going to pull a few cards at a time and kind of see what's going on. I'm just kind of winging it. The Fool. Lots of major arcana. Lots of major arcana. Literally 2 cards. And then King of Wands. So for some of you, I'm picking up that, like, maybe right now in your current state of, like, how you are in terms of, like, finances, maybe with the Empress card, you could be a mother, or you could be somebody who's, like, other people are, like, your responsibility, or you're trying to be a mother, and maybe that's kind of what the Fool journey is about. Like, maybe for some of you, it's like, oh, like, you're jumping into something. So you could be a Cancer in that sense, but you could also be a Taurus or a Libra with the Empress card here because it's ruled by Venus. But regardless of the case, I feel like for a good portion that will be watching this pile, you'll have like a more maternal energy, or like motherhood will be involved. But I'm just sensing that, like, with the Fool card and King of Wands here, it does seem as if though that you have some aspirations for your career and finances, and there's clearly a direction you're trying to take. It's like if the Empress card doesn't directly correlate to you being a mother, pile 1, I am sensing that that's kind of the status that you're aiming for, in the sense that, like, you're trying to be abundant and you're trying to be comfortable in your career and finances. You're trying to, make a lot, and it's like, I'm sensing like work hard, party even harder. You know what I mean, pile 1? And I do feel like with the Fool card, perhaps for some of you, there is a new journey that you're embarking on when it comes to your career and finances. Maybe you made some investments. Maybe you have taken on a new job. Maybe you picked up more hours. Whatever the case is, the general consensus for this Fool card here is just that fact that for some of you, you may have started something new in your career, or there was a big change in your career and or your money. And I feel like with the King of Wands, I almost want to say that for some of you, this, if this does pertain to motherhood, pile 1, if that resonates with you, I am sensing that with the King of Wands, this could relate to a father, or like a father figure, like a fire sign. So like Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, those could be relevant signs. But I feel like for a good majority of you too, it just seems as if though, like, there's somebody else involved when it comes to making money. It's like perhaps you're like in a relationship, or you're like married, pile 1. But I feel like the King of Wands, it goes 2 ways depending on your status in your love life. But if you are in a relationship, this could relate to your spouse, and that you're embarking on a new journey with them. And just understand that, like, it really is like kind of like not set in stone, and you don't know what's gonna happen in the next few like whatever the time frame that you're looking at may be. So like it could be the next few days or the next few years, you know, whatever you deem as fit. But I am sensing that with the Fool card here, and kind of the not slower energy but more of like the meticulous energy I'm sensing with this reading. You're probably looking at like a pretty big time frame, and I am sensing that the decisions you make right now in your career are like pretty like you have a lot of longevity in mind, and you're not really trying to embark on like a journey that will like give you like, I feel like you're trying to look for a gradual growth, you know, like something that you start small and as you go about it you start making more and more and more, you know, not like you're trying to like find the perfect recipe to make a bunch of money right off the get-go, or like, you know, like something, you know, you're trying to be very practical and rational about it, but I also feel like you're trying to be comfortable and happy with it. I feel like you're very much the kind of person that wants to be happy with their career, and you're happy to put in the hard work. I am sensing pile one, but I also feel like you're one that needs to constantly be stimulated and kept on their toes in their career, otherwise it's just like not fun. But you know, if you aren't in a relationship, or if you are single and you're not really looking to invest into career and finances with a spouse or anything of the sort, I am sensing with the King of Wands, this could be pertaining to your more masculine energy. So maybe you're trying to take steps forward in your career and finances, both like a more like flamboyant take, you know, and something with more like vigor and excitement. You know, when you think of King of Wands, just looking at this card, like this panda is very much excited. He is holding on to all these wands. He is wearing a crown. There's so many colors, you know. So I am sensing that like you're very inspired in your career and finances. Like I feel like when it comes to your money and like what you do for a living and, you know, what you may be looking to, I feel like you have like this very dreamy take on it, you know. Like I feel like you have like a lot of like, I want to do this, you know. I feel like you have a lot of like, if someone asked you right now like what is it that you want to do, pile one, for the rest of your life, or like what are you trying to do for the next few years with your money, and you're like, I feel like you have a very specific answer on it, and I feel like you have a very specific vision and goal. Sorry, I just like bumped into something. But I feel like you have like a very specific goal in mind, and I do think that it will take some time, especially based on like the longevity that this reading is giving me. I am sensing that like this is gonna be like maybe the period over the next like 5+ years, and I want to say like you're just very much, you're not looking to waste any time. And understand, pile one, that like with this Fool card here, keep the dreams in mind and keep the end goal in mind, but keep the journey like kind of not mysterious, but don't over plan, and don't like nitpick yourself too much, and don't like micromanage, because I'm sensing that like you have a tendency to do that, and that you have a tendency to kind of constantly worry about the abstract or like the mundane, and it's just like it's not very productive, and it really hasn't done anything to truly benefit you in this kind of subject, you know, like career and finances, because I feel like all it does is like fabricate a bunch of like stress and like panic that aren't even really there. And I feel like in the past it's accidentally manifested some hardships on you, whether it be financial hardships or emotional hardships, and I just feel like that's like unnecessary and not very like needed right now. So definitely keep an open mind and understand that like just because things aren't going the way that you originally wanted them to doesn't mean that you aren't getting to where you want to be. I feel like it's unrealistic to believe that like setting a goal means that the whole way there has like a specific path. I remember I was watching this video by Leora Alexandra, and she was like, the how is none of your business. And if you keep trying to control how you get to a specific outcome, then you're just snipping off and like eliminating all the possibilities that could happen, you know? And because of that, it's like you may even eliminate a shortcut to the place that you want to go to, you know? It's like, you know, like I just thought of like a random like analogy. Like you want to buy a house, right? Pile one. And let's be real, we all have seen the housing market. Like I'm literally 20, like buying a house is like low key on my mind, but it's like not like something that it's on the table right now. Like I don't even know what I'm going to eat for dinner tonight. But the point is, you know, like the housing market is freaking chaos right now. And I feel like with that in mind, like you want to buy a house, right? Pile one. But, and you're like, oh, if I do this, this, and this, and this, and then this, and this happens, then I'll be able to get the house. And it's like, but with that mindset, it's like you cut off all these possibilities, you know, like, what if someone buys you a house? What if someone gifts you a house? What if you win the lottery mysteriously and you are able to buy the house with that money, you know? It's like, what if the market crashes and the money you have is suddenly worth more and you can suddenly buy a house, you know? Like, don't limit the possibilities and keep dreaming and understand that, like, anything is truly possible if you believe it. And let's see what else is going on here. We also have Six of Pentacles. Yeah, that Libra energy is really coming through here. Then we have Queen of Cups. And Three of Swords. So I can see that there are some heartbreaks related to your career and finances. I feel like with the Queen of Cups and Three of Swords, maybe you have like a very emotional reaction to this topic, you know? Like, I feel like your emotions and your feelings really are reflected by how much money you have or like how much you're making. And that's totally valid, pile one, because I'm very much the same way. Not to like constantly bring myself up in the reading, but like I want you to understand that like you're not alone with this kind of thing. And you know, I feel like to those that have an emotional reaction to money, and maybe with the Three of Swords you have some money trauma or some like kind of like hardships related to money, or like you have had bad experiences with money, and maybe that's why you're kind of like overly meticulous about how you want to approach your finances and how you want to, you know, make more money. Maybe at times there can be like this negative self-talk of like, oh, I don't deserve more money, or like how can I make more, you know? And it's like, I feel like that's just unrealistic, pile one. And you need to set that aside and just focus on being consistent and focus on what it is that you want. Because it's like, think about it. If you focus on what you feel like you can't have, then how is it going to be? You know, if you constantly say to yourself, like, I have no money or like, I don't have enough, then that's exactly how it's going to be. And it's like, whether or not, like, it sounds silly, you know, to just sit there to yourself and be like, oh, I have more money and, you know, like, I'm rich. Like, it sounds crazy, but like, have you ever seen like a rich person say that they're broke? Or have you ever seen like a poor person say I'm rich, you know? Like, have you seen a homeless person like constantly affirming to themselves like I'm rich, you know? It's because they're affirming the wrong things to themselves and they're making themselves believe a narrative that doesn't even have to be the truth, you know? And I very much think that, you know, on the practical side of things, with the Six of Pentacles, do remain consistent and keep balancing things out, pile one. I am sensing that if you are here watching this reading, or, you know, maybe you've been looking for guidance on your career, because I feel like with the Fool card and Empress card, like I said, like there may be a lot of new journeys that have been put on you, whether it be related to motherhood, or like parenting, or like someone's your responsibility, or like there are other things weighing on you, you know. There's just something in your life that has changed, and because of that, the circumstances are like crazy, you know, like, and what I mean by that is maybe you don't have as much time as you did. Maybe you are like, there's new bills to pay, there's new financial like responsibilities, and there's like new opportunities coming upon you. And maybe with that, like, it's kind of hard to approach it because of the beliefs that you have been instilled into you regarding money, like negative ones at least. And I just want to say, pile one, first of all, work on affirming yourself that you have what it takes, because you do. You know, like, instead of believing that you don't have enough, start asking the question, like, why don't you deserve enough? Like, why, like, you know, if you're saying, like, if you're like, I don't deserve money, then ask that question, like, ask that affirmation, like, why don't I deserve more money? Like, there's no valid argument, you know, there's no valid argument as to why you can't have the things that you deserve and the things that you want, you know. There is no true, like, how do I say, like, argument. And I remember my best friend, like, I remember I was sitting in the car for once and we were talking about my love life, because my love life's literally disaster, like high natal Venus retrograde. But you know, I remember she said something and it really has haunted me in a good way for a long time now. But she said, if somebody wants something, they're worthy of it. And I very much want you to take that to heart, pile one. And also, like, stay consistent and keep balancing things out. Like I was saying, like, there have probably been new circumstances that have been presented to kind of, like, not jeopardize, but kind of present new, like, hurdles in your career and your money situation. So do stay consistent right now and balance things out and keep seeing where things go and keep, like, holding off on making a clean-cut decision. And I do believe that with the Three of Swords, it's going to cause you some distress and some pain. And I hate to say that that's how it's going to be, but, like, with the things that you're overcoming right now, pile one, like, I do feel as if, though, you have to face something a little bit more before, like, you get to the other side, you know? The grass isn't greener on the other side. The grass is greener where you water it. And I feel like with the Six of Pentacles here, it's like, obviously it's going to cause some stress, but better to kind of hold off on something and stress out about it than, like, make the wrong decision and accidentally invest in the wrong thing. You know what I mean, pile one? And I'm sure you know what I'm saying, because I very much feel like that's your fear right now. So don't make a decision based on your anxiety, or don't be overly hasty, because that's not really going to do you any good in the long run here. So yeah, let me pull some more cards. So we have Seven of Cups and also the Ten of Pentacles. Let me move these up a little bit. Yeah, oh, honestly, pile one, I'm very excited for you because we pulled the Ten of Pentacles last. So that leads me to believe that, like, in the grand scheme of things, in the end of things, like, you're gonna be making plenty of money and you're gonna have a very happy family situation, for those of you that want to start a family, or for those of you that are trying to invest in your family, or those of you your family's just involved. But like I said, with the Seven of Cups, I do think that the illusions and, like, there's a lot of decisions on the table right now, and that's probably what's causing a lot of haze right now, and a lot of just, like, I don't know, like, I feel like right now, like, when you think about your career and your money situation, it's probably very disorienting and maybe even a little bit stressful and, like, fear-inducing, you know? I sense, like, this kind of weird worry where it's like, it's the first thing that you think about in the morning and the thing that you think about last before going to bed, you know? It's just something that's clearly been weighing on you and really stressing you out and making you feel bad. But do you understand, pile one, with the Ten of Pentacles and Six of Pentacles, financial success is very much guaranteed and it's very much, like, assured no matter which route you take. But you have to understand that in order to get there, you have to be, like, very patient with your decision making right now, especially if you are, like, Libra, because, like, Libras, like, don't make choices. Like, they're literally the where do you want to eat AF person. And it's like, whether or not you are a Libra, pile one, just understand that, like, there's a lot of Libra themes here. And also, like, you know, even if you aren't a Libra, like, Libra deals with contracts and, like, paperwork and, like, the law, you know? So perhaps, like, legal matters are involved when it comes to your career and finances, and there's kind of, like, things you need to sign, and there's a lot of important documents that you need to take into consideration before you make a choice. And I feel like that further fuels the fire in this reading that's, like, you need to be careful about what choice you make next, because it's better to suffer and, like, you know, stress yourself out before making a decision, and, like, kind of sitting on the fence before, like, making a clean-cut choice. Because I do feel like with the Seven of Cups here, there are still things being revealed to you, and there are still kind of situations at hand here that aren't completely what they seem. And what I mean by that is, like, not everything is what it seems right now, and I feel like there's a lot of illusions right now, and I feel like there's a lot of truths that still need to be told, especially regarding, like, for some of you, like, you know, like, your, like, relationship, or, like, the people you're involved with, you know, like, your status and, like, what you're gonna do later on, and, like, your career and how it's gonna turn out, especially, like, with, like, the ever-changing world. Like, girl, let's be real here. And what I mean by ever-changing world is, like, things are just always changing, you know, pile one. But I think that the general, like, consensus that I'm, like, feeling right here is just that, like, the message that I'm picking up on is, don't be afraid to stress out about making a decision, because better to stress out about making the wrong choice, or, like, better to stress about making the right choice than stressing out later on when you've made the wrong choice because you freaked out or you panicked. It's like, not all of the details are being presented yet, and it's worth waiting things out even if it causes a little bit of extra panic. So yeah, I have some oracle cards here, and they're kind of just, like, little messages and, you know, like, little tidbits for those of you that may need extra confirmation before we kind of wrap this up, because I wanted to keep today's reading a little bit brief, like I said. So yeah, for your Moonology card, we have Luck is on your side. New moon in Sagittarius. That's good. Luck is on your side. That's all I have to say. I feel like you could be a very lucky person, pile 1, or like if you embrace your own luck, then things will really turn out in your favor. And then I have these tea leaf cards because I'm like really obsessed with them. So we have Nest. An emotionally secure, loving family is important to you. Oh yeah, for sure. This definitely probably, like for a good portion of you, like family is definitely involved here. Weeping Willow, family sorrow. This could be referring to that like money struggles that I was talking about, or like the trauma related to money that I was kind of talking about. Then we have Barrel. You feel something is lacking in your life, perhaps love, money, or goals. And Star, guaranteed success. Literally was just talking about that. Feather, someone you know is undependable and insincere. Take that for what it is, pile 1. I'll let those cards be a message all on their own. If any of them resonated, take those. If they don't resonate or they make you kind of uncomfortable, don't take it. A reading should never feel uncomfortable. It should always be something that you accept and something that you resonate with. So yeah, pile 1. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. If the reading resonated, please like, comment, and subscribe. And other than that, also check out my last video. It was a huge collab with Capricorn Venus Tarot and Moonful Readings on YouTube. Go check out their channels. They're literally amazing. You'll love them if you love me. But other than that, thank you so much for watching. I love you. Bye. So, pile 2, if you chose the 5-cent tarot, this is going to be your career and finances reading. And we're actually going to get right into the tarot today. Very interesting that you chose the 5-cent tarot because like cents, like money, career, fine. You know what I mean here? If you don't know what I mean, I like hi, like what's your fave color? I don't know. But yeah. That was so uncomfortable. Sorry, pile 2. I don't know what I'm just gonna... Anyways, what is going on in pile 2's career and finances? Some messages for pile 2's career and finances. Messages for pile 2's career and finances. Messages for pile 2's career and finances. One more time, actually. Messages for pile 2's career and finances. Alright. I'm going to pull a few cards at a time here. So first card we have is 9 of Cups. Wow. The keywords I see are wish come true, gratitude, and contentment. Oh, wow. That is a... Girl, that's a nice card. We love that. Then we have Temperance, Patience, Balance, and Inspiration. I love this deck, y'all. Like, I don't know. I'm just like in such a good mood looking at it. Like, sorry. And then we have 4 of Needles, Respite, and Recuperation. So, okay, first of all, okay. Rest is productive, okay? With the 4 of Needles here, that's the equivalent of a 4 of Swords. I very much think that in your career and finances, you're very susceptible to overworking yourself, or you're very susceptible to, like destroying the balance that you have between working, your hobbies, your love life, your rest. I just feel like you're probably a very like goal-oriented person, and you may have a lot of cardinal signs in your chart. So like Cancer, Capricorn, Libra, and Aries. You may be very susceptible to overworking yourself. You're probably a very hard worker. I mean, I'm sure everyone that's watching this video, regardless of what pile you chose, like, I'm sure we're all very hard workers. But I think that for you, it's like you put your nose to the grindstone and like you literally like work yourself to, like, I feel like sometimes into oblivion. And I feel like lately with the Temperance and 9 of Cups here, it just seems as if though, pile 2, you've made some breakthroughs in your career and your money, but I also feel like it kind of seems to go a bunch of different ways, because I do feel like with the 9 of Cups here, I do think that you have started something that you want. I do think that wishes have been fulfilled within your life, but I also feel like there's still something that you feel is missing. And I almost wonder if that's kind of what's been kind of causing this like dissatisfaction. And I don't think it's like blatant dissatisfaction, like you're not happy, but it's just like, when you're like, oh wow, everything's going great, but there's just a little something that's missing, something that will kind of give it that little oomph, that little like over the top feeling, And I feel like you've been feeling that about your career for quite a while now. Because of the Temperance card and Four of Needles, I do think that this has maybe been going on for the past few years even. Whatever you deem as like appropriate in terms of the time. I very much think that for some of you it could be literally just a few months or days, but for some of you it could be as long as a few years. And I don't think that it's something that you were actively aware of. I don't know, I feel like I'm kind of painting in broad strokes here. What I'm trying to say is I feel like within your career, you felt like there was something kind of like missing from it, or something missing within your financial situation that you were kind of working towards, and maybe like for a while you weren't able to address it because you were working so hard. And perhaps for some of you, maybe you've kind of like burnt out, or maybe you've been kind of like taking a second, and like because of that, you're kind of looking back. And I feel like maybe for you, for some of you as of late, I think that it's been a very introspective time in terms of career and finances, because I feel like you're starting to ask more like important questions, and more like questions that are relevant to the longevity of your money and finances. Not your money and finance, your money and career. You're really sitting down and like, is this really what I want to do for the next few years of my life? Is this really giving me the funds that I want? Is this making me happy? I feel like you've been asking some pretty existential questions when it comes to your career. And with the Temperance card here, I want to say that because with Sagittarius, you may be a Sagittarius, especially Sun Sagittarius. And then, because I find that Sagittarius no one really talks about it, but Sagittarius are very hardworking. I find that like they're very like impatient though, and I feel like maybe because of the Sagittarius theme, because whether or not you are a Sag, I feel like when we think of Sagittarius, we think of grandeur, and we think of, like huge time frames, and like looking back or like going forward, because I feel like it's a very wisdom oriented sign, and wisdom is equivalent to time, because over time with experiences you gain wisdom. I don't know why I just like explained that, but basically I'm like trying to get my thought process out on the table here so I don't like sound crazy. But I very much feel like basically what I'm trying to get across here is that like you've been thinking more, like you've been more farsighted. You haven't been stressing so much about the day to day, but now you've been kind of thinking about like your whole life as a whole. And I very much think that like you're really asking yourself what it is that will make you happy. Or maybe for some of you've already gotten what you wanted, so now it's like a matter of like, okay, like I got everything I wanted, so like what do I do now, y'all? Like someone help. But I do think that the point is that like I think that in your career, like you may be a little bit overworked right now, or maybe your schedule has been kind of like a little bit hectic, and I feel like you can't help but feel like the feeling of like unfulfillment, or like this weird like thorn in your side that's just like kind of bothering you. And I really don't think I can properly explain to each and every one of you like what exactly this thorn may be, because it is so different for everybody. But I am sensing for some of you like the general consensus is that it feels as if though there's something missing, or it feels as if though this isn't exactly what you envisioned where you'd be when you were like previous to this moment. And I think that a little bit of recuperation, a little bit of extra meditation, and a little bit more like indifference would really help you right now. And like I don't mean it and like withdraw from this moment and become apathetic, but it's very much like it seems to be leaning towards that way, like being a little bit more like detaching your emotions from your work. Like I feel like you have a very emotional reaction to your career. I feel like you take your career very seriously, Pile 2. I feel like you like some of you may even identify with your career. Like some of you may like take on like your work, like what you do and your craft and like what you do for a living, at least for now, is just like something that you like really like take pride in, and so maybe like this dissatisfaction has really eaten you up inside, or something that's really stressed you out. And I definitely think that like taking a step back from it will really help you. And obviously like I feel like in this hustle culture, it's very difficult to just kind of take a step back from your job, you know, or like, you know, find a way to like make more time for yourself. But I also feel like that's a lot more realistic than continuing on like this, like, you know, grinding and working yourself to death. It's like, how much more productive is that than just taking a step back, you know? So let's pull some more cards for more context here. 9 of Matches, absolutely. This is the 9 of Wands. It says resilience, says persistence, it says strong will. Girl. And then we have Page of Cups, curiosity, possibility, imagination. Sorry, let me just fix these and make them look cute. Because when the cards don't look cute, it's just not a vibe, you know? Have you seen that HRH collection clip where she's like, it's not the vibe. Stop. I don't know, y'all. I love Stan Twitter. It's kind of low-key my red flag. And then we had 3 of Cups, friendship, community, involvement. It definitely seems as if, though, with the 9 of Matches, Page of Cups, like just these few cards I just pulled, it seems as if, though, first of all, 9 of Matches, literally you're probably overworked or you're probably very exhausted, you know? For some of you, it may be like more of like a mental exhaustion. I don't feel like you could be physically exhausted, obviously, when you, like those two go hand in hand. But I very much feel like the mental or like emotional burnout is becoming very prevalent to you. And I feel like maybe you're kind of realizing it. Maybe you're kind of like, if I keep going like this, I'm literally going to burn myself out and overwork myself to death. And I feel like you're kind of like wondering how you can fix that and how you can also fill that void, you know, or that thing that's kind of like bothering you. And when I say thing, when I tell you pile 2, there's something about your career that's like not really satisfying you, or like it's just not what it seemed. Something comes to mind, and there's something about that statement to you, specifically to you, you watching this, like why did I do anyways, but like very much understand that, like, you know how that applies, you know. I want to keep that pretty broad because I kind of wanted to, like, I want y'all to apply that to y'all's lives in whichever way you deem as like how it resonates. But you know what I mean when I say that there is something about your career that's unsatisfying to you. And I very much feel like maybe with the 3 of Cups and Page of Cups, maybe it has to do with coworkers or like bosses. Maybe you want to be the boss, or maybe you want to get paid like a boss. But there's just something about like your career where you kind of feel like you're the underdog, or you kind of feel like, you know, like you feel like you don't identify as much with the people that you work with, or like the people that you're helping, or like, you know, like it's just something about like the community aspect of your job that you don't really identify with. And because of that, it's causing like this huge disconnect between your morals and your craft. And it's very interesting because we have no pentacles here, because I very much feel like you're so passionate about your career and what you want to do that like money isn't, it seems to come second, or it's something that like is an afterthought, because like you're so obsessed of being like satisfied with your career and, you know, like having a job you love. And I think that's very much what's kind of fueling this curiosity and like kind of this creative energy with your job, you know. It's like, oh my gosh, I feel like you're the kind of person that's like, if you can work a job you love, you're very much okay with not getting paid as much as like you'd want. Obviously, like not being underpaid. I'm not saying that you're gonna be okay with being like underpaid, but I very much think that like if you can get by with like the salary, then you're totally fine if that means that the job that you're working is like a craft. You know, I feel like maybe a huge philosophy of yours is like never work a day in your life because you love your job so much. But I also feel like if you've chosen the 5-cent tarot, maybe there has been a theme of like financial hardships in your life. And what I mean by that is I'm not saying like you're literally poor or you don't have monies or something like that. But I very much think that like money has been something that's like becoming a more prevalent topic. And what I mean by topic is like issue, but I don't want it to sound like it's coming off as like, oh, like money's a problem, you know, like you don't have money. Not like that, but rather it's like something that you've taken into consideration. Girl, who hasn't? Have y'all seen how much a carton of eggs cost? If you haven't, just go to the store right now and just like go to the back, and look at the eggs. You're gonna see a dozen for like $10, and you're gonna be like, girl, for $10, I'd let that egg fry and eat me. But you know what I'm saying, pile two? The message I'm trying to convey with all that is saying that, like, because of the state of the world and because of like how it's looking right now and because of the circumstances you've been presented, I very much think that money has become something that you're thinking about more at a conscious level. And I feel like you very much understand that you're making enough money right now, or like the amount that you're making right now is satisfactory. But I think that with the Page of Cups and Three of Cups, there's something more that you want to do, but it requires you to make a little bit more. Or like maybe there's like a job that like pays more, and because of that it's also causing a lot of illusions or like indecision, you know what I mean? Like, oh, like I really love this job, but it doesn't really pay me as much as this job, and this job would be like a little bit better low key. Or like, wow, like this job doesn't pay me this much because I don't have the right qualifications. My stomach just made a weird noise. But and then it's like, oh, this job, like I'm qualified for it, and they aren't as strict, and they pay me more, you know? It's like, oh, I get paid by the hour in this job, but in this job I get paid salary, and that sounds lit. And very much pile two, I think that this was kind of a message in pile one, but I don't think you'd resonate that much with pile one. If you felt called to it, obviously that's not my place to tell you. But what I'm trying to say here is I feel like the general theme in a lot of today's readings are going to be about the fact that it's worth holding off on making a big decision, and it may cause you some stress and a little bit of stagnation, but very much pile two, understand that it's worth suffering and stagnation for just a little bit longer than it is to like make the wrong decision and like waste your time, you know? It's like better to invest in your time like carefully making a decision. But I also feel like there's an impatient energy here. I don't think that y'all are the most patient people, if I'm gonna be honest here. I feel like you guys are very much the kind of people that are like, if it's not done right here and there, I will lose my mind. Yeah, let's pull some more cards. We also have Nine of Needles, hopelessness, anxiety, and anguish. Yeah, hold on. And then justice, cause and effect, truth, and then fairness. You could be a Libra. You could have Libra in your chart. And I feel like with the justice card involved here, it really does seem as if though there may be like legal matters involved, or there may be a lot of like paperwork or contracts involved, or maybe there's just a lot of things that are changing the circumstances, you know? I feel like you feel like once you come up to like a decision, like I feel like there's been places in your life where you're like, okay, I'm gonna do this, this, and this, and the minute you're about to make the choice, something like flips upside your head, and like suddenly you have to go back to the drawing board. And I very much think that that's been frustrating you and probably causing you so much anxiety, pile two. I feel like with the Nine of Needles here, like you've just been really stressed out about your money and like your career, and not like in this lack mentality, you know? Like I don't feel like it's, like I said, I don't think that you feel like you don't have enough, but I feel like it's just something that you realize that with time, like you're gonna need to make more of, or you need to focus more. But I will say, pile two, with the sheer amount of nines we have here, we have 3 out of the 4 nines in the entire deck, at least in terms of court cards. You know, 9 is literally about like a step before completion, you know, like you're 1 away from 10. And, you know, I very much think that there's going to be a lot of finalities coming up for you, pile two, like at the time that you're watching this at least. And when I say this, I feel like there's going to be a lot of like things that pop up that really help you make your decision, you know? I feel like with the needles and then the matches and cup, like in terms of needles and wands, or like needles and matches, what I'm picking up on is like there will be doors closed in your life, and there will be some painful endings in your life regarding your career and finances, whether it be quitting a job, finding a new job, you know, like losing a coworker, like, you know, losing your favorite boss, something of this sorts, you know, like something within your career you are probably going to lose, and it's probably going to be a little bit of a painful ending, or at least a very big disappointment. And I hate to like grog you down like that, pile two. I don't want to say like, oh, like it's inevitable that you're gonna lose this, but I very much think that like you even understand yourself that like this current state of your career that you're in, it's not very sustainable for the long run, and it's very much a job that like you're probably not planning to stay on for a while, or like your current plan or goals. I very much feel like you're trying to accomplish one or a few things here, and once those things are accomplished, you're very much ready to move along here. And with the Nine of Cups here, I very much think that, like, on the flip side of things, when doors are closed, more is open, you know? And I very much feel like you are, like, I just, like, got this huge message. Like, you're gonna get what you want, Pile 2. Like, there is something really exciting on the horizon for you, because I think that you've suffered a lot in your career, and you've faced a lot of, like, mishaps, and also just, like, not enough money. Like, you haven't been getting paid enough for how much, like, you do. And I very much think that coming up pretty soon, at least for a majority of you, I'd say within the next few months, like, you're gonna start making a lot of monies. Like, a lot of opportunities will come upon you, and a lot of, like, random, like, job offers will be thrown at you, or, like, a lot of applications that you probably sent in a while ago will randomly be received, and, like, you'll, like, be under consideration, you know? Or, like, someone will be like, hey, like, do you want to work here? Their starting pay is this. Or, like, hey, like, I put in a good word for you. You could work here. Or, like, hey, we've seen your experience. Like, would you want to work here, you know? So, yeah. I very much think that also with the Justice card, like, do understand that everything right now is still kind of being calibrated. I feel like you may have even noticed this within your career. I feel like you've been noticing that there's been a lot of, like, shakeups, and there's been a lot of earthquakes, you know, like, a lot of things changing and a lot of things coming up. But that's because everything's being leveled out right now, and it's like, everything's being dealt to you right now, so that later on you can make a clear-cut decision. But, like, Pile 2, I highly recommend that right now you, like, remain a little bit more patient before things kind of, like, blow up in your face, but in a good way. Like, everything's gonna suddenly, like, come to a close, and everything is suddenly gonna make sense within just, like, a few moments. So be patient. So yeah, I have a few oracle cards here to kind of, like, give you a little bit more, like, context, a little bit extra insight for those of you, you know, take these how they resonate. I'm not going to really explain them too much, but for this card we have faith in your dreams, waxing crescent moon. Take that for what it is. And then we have these super cute tea leaf cards, so let's get right into it. Did you hear my stomach? I just ate, and it was so good. And by the way, I mixed hot chocolate and coffee, and I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of not a vibe. Just don't do it. Just get a mocha. We have angel, spiritual guidance, protection from harm. Frying pan, trouble, accusations. Dark man, dealings or relationship with a man with dark complexion or hair. Carriage, a journey either physical or mental. Kangaroo, unsettled times, need to plan ahead, definitely. So for some of you could be moving, but whatever the case may be, it really does seem as if though there's been, like, mishaps at work, or there's just been kind of, like, a lot of stress, or, like, it's just been really tumultuous. But I feel like a lot of you have been dealing with work drama, or, like, dissatisfaction at the workplace, or just something like that, you know? But yeah, that's all I have for you, Pile 2. Thank you so much for watching. If the reading resonated, please like, comment, and subscribe. Also, do go check out my last video. It was this big collab with Capricorn Venus Tarot and Moonful Readings here on YouTube. They're amazing channels. I highly recommend you go check them out. But other than that, thank you so much for watching. I love you. Bye. So, Pile 3, if you chose the Mermaid Tarot, then this is going to be your career and finances reading. And today I'm actually going to get straight into the tarot, just like, get straight into the tarot, I don't know. But kind of wanted to keep today's reading a little bit more brief. And by that I mean, like, shave off like a few minutes. But yeah, I don't know. I was just watching a bunch of clips, random clips from, I don't know, just like Stan Twitter. Do y'all know who HRH Collection is? She's so freaking funny. She's low-key problematic, don't get me wrong. She's like Trisha Paytas, but, like, still really funny, you know? And I was also watching this old clip of, like, Adele, like, and her, like, old English teacher coming to one of her thingies, I don't know. Anyways, reading for messages for Pile 3's career and finances. Messages for Pile 3's career and finances. Alright, what do we have here? So for the first few cards, we have Two of Swords, the Devil, and Page of Pentacles. So I'm sensing a lot of earth energy right off the bat here because we have Capricorn with the devil card here. And then the number 2 makes me think of the second house, like right now. So like you could be a Taurus, or like you could also have Virgo. Just any of those 3 I feel like are very relevant to this particular pile. But what I'm sensing here is that like you may be kind of avoiding something. I don't know, like this reading just kind of feels like I got really tired right before this reading. So like I'm sensing that for some of you, you may be kind of like unmotivated or kind of like reluctant to make a move in your career and your monies. And I feel like maybe this is one of your bad habits. With the devil card here, I definitely do feel like you're maybe overworking yourself or participating in something like bad for you or something that you know you shouldn't be doing. I'm sensing like for some of you, it could be like an imbalance, you know, like you're saving too much or you're spending too much, you know, like you're saving so much to a point where you're like hindering your quality of life, you know, like you know how much better your life would be if you just like get a new bottle of dish soap instead of watering it down constantly with more water. It's like at that point the bottle's like 99% water and 1% soap. But like I feel like for some of you, you may be spending a little bit too much, you know, like did you really need like the past 5 things that you bought off Etsy? And it's like not to take a jab at you, pile 3, because like mood, me too. But like what I'm trying to say here is like I feel like there's a lack of balance within your lifestyle when it comes to your career and your monies. And you know, even if it isn't about the monies, I feel like it's could also be about like your work life and like your work balance. I feel like there's just a theme of balance here, you know. It's just like you're working too much or you're not working enough. And I do think that like not working enough has like kind of like this uncomfortable undertone to it. But like when I say not working enough, I mean it in the sense that you want to work more but you just choosing or not to, or like you're like holding off on it. And with the 2 of Swords here, I just feel like there's like this weird like reluctancy or like this hesitance to go about improving the balance in your life or going about something that you're wanting. Especially with the Page of Pentacles here, I feel like for a vast majority of you, you could be wanting something right now. Like you may be wanting this job, you may be wanting to start something, like a more entrepreneurial path. Maybe like you have opportunities, or maybe you want to like invest in something, you know, like maybe you want to buy a car, get a new place, or you just, you know, want to make more money, or like you're trying to find a side hustle, whatever the case may be. I just feel like there's something that you want, but you're not really taking the initiative to go get it, or maybe you've been kind of like holding back on it, you know? It's like, I don't know how to describe it. It's just like you could be doing something more with when it comes to getting what you want, but I just feel like you're kind of holding back on it, and maybe it's kind of surfacing more bad habits. I feel like with the devil card, some of you may also be overly relying on vices. Vices could be a problem right now. Not like a problem, but like something that's like holding you back or hindering your quality of life, you know, like it could be as bad as like, you know, like substance abuse or like, you know, alcohol, or it could just be bad as like drinking a cup of coffee every single morning, and then like it's the first thing that hits your stomach and you're drinking too much of it, you know, like you're drinking more than like 3 mugs a day, you know, like maybe sometimes you drink a Red Bull because it's like not enough, you know. And I feel like with the devil card being here, it's just like this lack of moderation, you know, because it's okay to drink coffee, you know, it's okay to need like want coffee like every morning, but it being the first thing that comes to your mind and being the first thing that hits your stomach, and you know, it's just not good for you. It's not healthy. And you know, it's just causing a lot of like distractions in your life, and it's causing you to rely on vices too much, and it's causing you to like not address like bigger problems in your life, you know. It's like, sure, you've been drinking coffee to get you out of bed and to make you comfortable, but it's like not like comfortable, but like, you know, get you going. But you also laid in bed 3 hours before you got that cup of coffee, and it's like, girl, like the progress that you made after, like it's still like, you know what I mean? It's just like that cup of coffee is masking and not addressing the fact that you laid in bed for 3 hours when there's things that you could be doing, you know. And I just feel like because of that, like there's just like whatever the bad habits may be, like the point is like whatever it looks like to you, there's something in your life that you know you shouldn't be doing, but you're doing it anyways. And because of that, it's kind of causing this hindrance in your lifestyle, and it's causing to slow down your manifestations because the energy is more fabricated and it's not as pure, because you know you're relying on a substance or you're relying on your vices to get there. And then we also have 10 of Wands. You may be overworked or you may be very tired. I picked that up before I even got to the reading. And then we have the Magician. And what else? We have 4 of Pentacles. So for some of you, you may be saving a little bit too much, but with the 10 of Wands, I'm sensing that there's like this scarcity mindset. I definitely do feel like there's kind of like a more emotional undertone to this reading. Excuse me, I just yawned. But with this 4 of Pentacles here, I just feel like there's like this hesitance. Like you're hanging on to something way too much, you know, whether that be like a vice, whether that be like, you know, a situation or a job that doesn't like serve you anymore. It's like with the Magician card here, it's clear that you want something else. Pile 3, I feel like there's something that you're like looking for or something that you want. And what I mean by that is like, wow, like I really want this job and like I low-key feel like they take me, but I just haven't found the time to apply to it, you know? Or like, wow, like my freaking TikTok like just randomly got like hundreds of thousands of views, but like I don't know, I just don't feel like doing anything with it, you know? It's just like this kind of like weird like lazy attitude that's just like I just feel like you're very unmotivated right now, and it's kind of maybe difficult to find inspiration. And that's why I do feel like this reading is taking more of an emotional turn, because it's kind of important that like you find the inspiration and the motivation to do these things, you know? It's like you're not making enough time for hobbies. You're not making enough time for things that kind of like fill your cup up. And because of that, like you just seem to be focusing all into work. But when you do that, you overwork yourself. Your perspective on money becomes scarce. And like suddenly you just feel like you constantly don't have enough, even though you may have like plenty for like literally retirement, you know? It's just like your mindset has shifted so much. And like I don't know, like I just feel like this lazy, dreadful energy of this particular reading. And honestly, this might be a little bit uncomfortable to hear, pile 3. Like I feel like there's a lot of things in this reading that you're kind of hoping to hear, but like it's not. But I do think that like with the Magician card, it's important to address the fact that you very much have what it takes to manifest that what you're looking for. But I also feel like there's something in your life that like needs to be addressed, or there's kind of like an imbalance in your life that needs to be addressed. And I feel like for some of you, it could just be like not hopping on things, you know? It's like maybe your space is a mess, or maybe like, you know, you've been buying books, but you haven't been reading the books, you know? So it's like you're buying so many and it's like they're piling up and you're like, oh, I'll read them, but you like never do. And it's like that theme is kind of what I'm talking about here, you know? It's like you're stockpiling so much and you're saving so much, but you're not taking advantage of what you're saving, you know? It's like you're saving up so much money, but it's like for what, you know? It's like obviously saving is a good thing, but there is such thing as saving too much, you know? It's like you need a new tube of toothpaste, but you're still adamant on saving that $6 on that tube, you know? And I'm not sitting here being like, oh, go spend all your monies, you know? I'm not saying that. But the message that I'm picking up on here is that like there's just like something in your life that has not been like, you know, balanced. You know, I feel like balance is like an important message here. If you haven't already conveyed it, if you haven't already picked up on it, because I've literally said it like a million thousand times. But I also do think that with the Ten of Wands here, I do feel like this is kind of like a burnout or kind of like a rut you may be in. I feel like something happened in your life recently that kind of like freaked you out or kind of caused you to have to take a setback, you know? I feel like maybe like there was a source of like trauma, or there was something that like caused you to be like, girl, like I need to save up more, you know? Like maybe like you missed a month of rent and like because of that like you got like, or maybe you like forgot to pay something and like you had like a very scary situation, and because of that you're like, oh, like I should be more responsible. But it's like I feel like you took it to one extreme, and because of that it's just like it's not very practical, it's not very realistic or healthy for you, even, pile 3. And it's just like I very much feel like the message here is that like within your career and finances, it's important that you find the gray and that you find the middle ground again between working and resting, between saving and spending, between, you know, like having fun and, you know, getting down to business, you know. It just doesn't have to be this black and white to where you're on one extreme or the other. And I also feel like with the Two of Swords and the Devil card here, maybe for some of you, and like also the Ten of Wands, maybe for some of you, you face kind of like a setback in your work, or maybe that there's something in your career that's caused you to like freak out, or there's something that like caused you to be like, oh, like, you know, like I can't get promoted or something. Also, for some of you, you may just be like not, like you may not be working right now, or you may be unemployed right now, and maybe that's kind of what's been stressing you out, you know? It's like, oh my gosh, like I know I need to apply for jobs. I know I need to like, you know, go work. I know I need to start making money again, but like I just feel like I can't, you know, like, or like it's like there's nothing out there for me, or you know, something like that. But pile 3, I feel like the message here is that it doesn't have to be so black and white. It doesn't have to be what you originally thought it was going to be, you know. It isn't as like black and white as, oh, I apply for jobs, start making money again, get back out there. You know, there's something else that you could do, you know, like you could start working from home, like you could start doing a side hustle, you could start like bringing in little bits of cash through like selling things, you know, like starting a small business, or like, you know, making content. And it's just like, obviously maybe the thought has crossed your mind, and maybe it's a little bit like kind of like scary to you, and maybe it's something that kind of stresses you out. But like I very much feel like there's something else that you could be doing, and I feel like the circumstances that have been presented to you when it comes to your career, and like how like you may have been unemployed, maybe this is a sign to say that like there's something else that you could be doing, you know. There's something else that can bring in the coin that doesn't require you to do something that you hate, you know. Maybe you don't want to work, maybe the thought of a 9 to 5 literally makes you want to rip your hair out and start screaming into your pillow and like punch a hole in the wall. And it's like, if it makes you that unhappy, then don't do it, you know? It's not for you. There's so many ways to make money nowadays, you know, pile 3? It's just like, if you keep your mind open and you understand that, like, there's other ways to make money. It's like, we literally have people on this platform filming themselves eating McDonald's, making more money than the people who made the McDonald's. You know what I mean, pile 3? So it's like, keep that in mind and understand that you really can do anything if you put your mind to it. And that, like, yes, you have a lot of free time. And yes, like, it's not conventional work, and like if you start something small, it might not be as rewarding as just getting that static $20 an hour right from the get-go, but it has longevity, and the ceiling in how much you can make is a lot higher. And what I mean by that is, like, if you start a YouTube channel, you might not make as much monies in the beginning as you would if you would have just start a 9 to 5, you know? Like, your first paycheck at a 9 to 5 is going to be way bigger than your first paycheck from YouTube, but with time, it gets harder to get promoted at that 9 to 5, whereas at YouTube, you can gain more subscribers, you can gain a following, you know? And, like, you can start making more money that way, you know? Like, you have a following, so there's people that are listening to you. And it's like, I very much, like, to be fully transparent, that's kind of like my vibe, because like I feel like with the current state of the world, it's like finding a job right now is literally impossible. Like, if you go through TikTok or if you go through any social media, you know the unemployment is real. It's scary out here. But that also just means that, like, you know, like, make content, do something, you know, like, it's do something to fill your time, you know. It may be weird, but like, there's so many people unemployed, you know, like, we all gonna watch your stuff, you know. What else are we gonna do, child? Like, stare at the ceiling, get a dog, like, I don't know, what is it that unemployed people do, you know? But, you know, it's scary at first, but it's worth seeing it out to the end. And I feel like this is a very comforting message now, because I feel like for some of you, you've been kind of stressed out about this for a really long time now. I do think that with the Devil and the Ten of Wands, like, if you are unemployed or if your current job situation isn't as fulfilling, I think that it has been weighing on you for a while now, and it's been kind of stressing you out. And like, very much so, it's caused you to participate in bad habits and like get into your vices. But it's like, pile 3, I just want to say, start small with this Page of Pentacles here. Start small and do things very gradually, and with time you'll get to where you need to be. You know, start what I mean by start small is like, you really can do anything, you know. It's like, if all you can do in one day is make your bed, like, you still did something that day, you know. Like, I feel like for me, like, there was a time in my life where I was like, girl, I'm literally doing nothing with my life. But then I started making my bed, and it brought some order and structure back to my life, you know. But yeah, what else do we got here? We also have 10 of Cups. Wow, that's a beautiful card. And then we have Queen of Pentacles. Yes, I also think it's interesting that she's holding a trident, and in this deck, like, the tridents are like the swords. So pile 3, wow, those are some beautiful cards to finish off the tarot with, because, you know, like, Ten of Cups and Queen of Pentacles, that just shows that like you'll be in a very abundant position if you are to move forward with conviction in your career and finances. And what I mean by that is I feel like I've been kind of painting in broad strokes here, or I've been kind of like unspecific about what you should be doing with your career. And first of all, that's completely up to you, but I just want to say, like, look at it from a more abstract angle and be more creative, and understand that like there's other ways to go about your career and your money, and it isn't very traditional. And like I feel like people always kind of like make it black and white. They're like, the only way nowadays to make it is to like have a really good paying job or like open an OnlyFans. And it's like there's so much in between those two things, and like you can make just as much and live so comfortably. And it's just like people don't consider those things, you know. It's like I don't understand why like I'm not shaming any of the people in those two extremes, you know. Like there's nothing wrong with having a high paying job, and there's nothing wrong with doing OnlyFans, but I'm just saying, like, you know, for a vast majority of us, those two ends don't really resonate with us, you know. Like I know for me, like those two, like, you know, like I want to have a high paying job, but like if I hate the job, like that doesn't resonate with me. But also OnlyFans doesn't really resonate for me, you know. And maybe it has been that way for you, Pile 3. Maybe people are like, oh, just open an OnlyFans, and you're like, girl. Or they're like, oh, apply here, and you're like, I have. And people are just like, people are so quick to be like, oh, like do this, this, and that, and it's like they don't even provide like a solution, you know. Like what I mean by that is like, oh, you haven't been working, you need to go apply to jobs. Be like, okay, then tell me where to apply, you know. But yeah, I feel like the message here is like, know that like this tough cycle is really coming to an end for you, and that there will be a moment where you kind of have like a breakthrough aha moment where you're going to start making money very slowly and very gradually, but with time, like you'll find the fulfillment and the satisfaction, the financial and like material comfort that you're seeking, whether that be finding a new place to live, making a new, like creating your own job, or like finding a way out, you know. But it's like, regardless of the case, the point is that like right now it's going to be a little bit more stressful before things kind of start working out. And I feel like you won't even notice that things are starting to work out, but with time, like it will come to fruition. And just understand that this like stressful time period will be a very humbling one, and it's something that you should definitely remember when you are making more money, you know, to kind of really like feel that gratitude and to feel like your motivation. So yeah, I have some oracle cards here to kind of give you like a little bit more context. It's like little, like, you know, how do I say, like, just let these be messages all on their own. So for your Moonology card, we have be bold and make the first move, cardinal moon. You could be like, yeah, Capricorn energy strong here, especially like, and also Aries, Libra, and Cancer. And then for these tea leaf cards, I pulled a few here. We have Spear, heartache over what you no longer have. For some of you, y'all may have quit a job that maybe you kind of regret quitting it, but trust me, everything happens for a reason. Not unsuccessful plans. Whale, great worry over nothing. And dark woman, dealings or relationship with a woman with dark complexion or hair. Yeah, this could be the Queen of Pentacles. For some of you, it could be like a motherly figure or a boss or something. But I do feel like right now, like you're literally stressing out and freaking out over nothing. Like there's literally that you need to be worried about. Like there's nothing that you need to truly be worried about. Move forward and understand that like there will be some mishaps, and there will be some like hardships, and there will be like things that you invest into that don't really work out, but like it's all part of trial and error. And it, like, I feel like the universe is really giving you time right now. But yeah, I think that a tough time is really going to start ending for you, Pile 3. So there's that. But yeah, thank you so much. I think that's all I have for you. So thank you so much for watching, Pile 3. If the reading resonated, like, comment, and subscribe. And check out my last video. It was a collab with Capricorn Venus Tarot and Moonful Readings. And yeah, go check them out. They're really great channels. But other than that, thank you so much for watching. I love you. Bye. Hello, Pile 4. If you chose the Black Lion Tarot, this is going to be your reading for your career and finances. And we're actually going to get right into the tarot today. So weird, Pile 4, because when I was doing Pile 3 beforehand, I was just so like tired and like groggy. And I was just like, girl, like, can I just go lay down right now? But then like when it came to your pile, I was about to, before I started filming, I was like, girl, let's go do this. Because usually around Pile 4, I get kind of lethargic because, you know, like I've filmed 4 piles. and I'm like really impatient, so I like to film the entire video in one go. I've stopped doing that, and now I take breaks in between piles, which is so much more prolific. But that's why I was shocked, because like I was like, usually around pile 4 I'm like dying, but like today was pile 3 that I was dying, which leads me to believe it was their energy, not me. Anyways, did I cut the deck? I don't remember cutting the deck. I'm gonna do it again. Okay. Messages for pile 4's career and finances. I actually haven't used this deck that long. I don't use it that often because it's so pretty and I like to preserve it. But I was feeling a little hooty tooty today. If you don't know what that's from, it's from Coco Peru. If you don't know who Coco Peru is, I'm just gonna move on. Anyways, for your cards, we have 10 of Pentacles. Strong start, not gonna lie. Ace of Swords. Four of Cups. These are the first few cards I'm going to pull. So right off the bat, pile 4, I do feel as if though with the 4 of Cups and Ace of Swords, the goal is the 10 of Pentacles, but with the Ace of Swords and 4 of Cups, there's an idea at hand here. And I feel like there's something that you want to do, or there's something that you want to plan. Like, I feel like you're trying to plan to get to financial fulfillment and like fulfillment with your career, or you're trying to figure out what to do with your craft or what to do for work. And with this Ace of Swords, I feel like if you haven't already, you're going to have like a major breakthrough when it comes to money and what you're going to do for work in the next few, I'd say, months. And honestly, it might come upon you quite suddenly. I feel like with the 4 of Cups here, a lot of you may have been in a very meditative state, or you've been kind of like just like in this like slump, or kind of like this, maybe even a little bit stressed out, like, oh, like what am I going to do for work? How am I going to make money? What am I going to do? And I do think that you've done a great job of pumping the brakes and living day by day and be like, girl, let me just take a second and let me not like freak out so much, because it's like not even that serious. But I very much feel like you've kind of taken a step back and that you've kind of recuperated, and now you're kind of like, instead of like shifting your focus from like worrying about what you're gonna do, you're now just thinking about how you're gonna do it, you know? I feel like you're very much over like being indecisive or kind of being freaked out about things that have like you have no control over. Like, I feel like you've really matured a lot and really grown a lot when it comes to money and like working and, you know, career. I feel like there's a lot of hard truths and realities and maybe some hard pills that you swallowed, and just you've really done the internal work, and you've really done a great job of like healing a lot of trauma when it comes to money. So I feel like now it's just kind of like this culmination point of like, all right, y'all, like, I'm ready to make more money, and I'm ready to understand that I am deserving of the good stuffs. And I don't know, with the Ace of Swords, I feel like also for a good portion of you, you've been thinking a lot, and maybe there's a bunch of ideas floating around in your head about like what you can do for money or like how you can hustle. I'm sensing that for some of you, maybe it's because there's some complications when it comes to working, you know, perhaps like there's just like limitations when it comes to working, like maybe where you live there isn't enough jobs, or like there is like no one's hiring, maybe you can't drive, maybe like your car's been in the shop, or like you just can't drive for some reason, or like, you know, like people can't take you, or like you're just very busy, you're occupied with something else, or like you're in school, or like, you know, something like that, you know. And I feel like there's basically what I'm trying to say with all those things I just list out is that there's circumstances that have been presented to you that kind of jeopardizes the way you work or your opportunities in terms of how you can make money. And because of that, I feel like with the Ace of Swords, you've had to think a little bit more creatively, or been a little bit more like gray when it comes to finding work or finding ways to make money. And because of that, I feel like you've also been thinking a lot about money. I feel like you've been planning a lot. I feel like maybe to like an obsessive point, you know, like, oh, like I'm gonna make this much, and then I'm gonna save up for this, and then I can buy this, and then I can go here. You know, I feel like you've just been doing a very good job of like planning and being very creative about what it is that you want to do and how you're gonna do it. And I feel like you've just taken a very realistic and like pragmatic stance on it. And With the Four of Cups, though, I will say that, like, maybe sometimes it's a little bit, like, excessive, or, like, you're just dreaming a little bit too much, or you're, like, planning so far ahead to a point where you don't even know what's gonna happen at that point, you know? It's, like, so much is gonna happen between now and, like, a week from now, pile 4, and it's just, like, you're like planning ahead like like 6-7 years, and it's just like, girl, like, you don't even know what's gonna happen in this year alone, so what makes you think you can plan for the next 6 years, I feel like in that sense, like, maybe you're a little bit over planning to feel like you have a sense of control, or you're kind of like, like being a little bit overly controlling, or being a little bit like, suffocating with these kind of things. So I feel like it's very important that, like, you kind of pump the brakes from time to time, and you kind of understand that, like, what you can do right now is literally all you can do, and what's next will be revealed with time. And I feel like you shouldn't stress too much about it, pile 4. I feel like you haven't been stressing that much about it, like, I feel like I'm not, when I say that, I don't mean like you're stressing, like you're freaking out, but like it's just something that's been on your mind, and it's something that you think about, and like you pour a lot of time into, when it could be spent enjoying the fact that, like, you're not in a financial rut anymore, or you're not going through something really stressful anymore, like, I feel like the hardships for you have very much ended, and now you're kind of left with a blank canvas to see where it is that you stand in your career and money, and now you're just kind of getting a gauge on, like, how you can move forward. And I feel like you have a very good, like, intellectual mind when it comes to these things. I feel like you have a very good mind when it comes to sorting out money and finding ways to, like, salvage money. So I feel like you're very good with these things. And it's like, whether or not, like, you have the best habits when it comes to it, but I feel like you have a very mature take on it, and because of that, it's like, I feel like that will get you a lot farther than, like, good habits, and it's just like, do understand that, like, a lot of the hardships are over now, and right now it's about, like, being more creative and being more in the moment, and not stressing so much about, like, even a few months from now, and just understanding that, like, all you can do today is literally all you can do today. So let's put some more cards here. What else? We also have the Chariot. We have the Empress. The Fool. That's all I'm going to pull for now before I pull some more. But with the Empress and the Chariot, that's a lot of major arcana in one go, I must say. I do feel as if, though, with the Chariot, first of all, you may have Cancer in your chart. You could have Taurus or Libra in your chart too, but that's besides the point. I feel like with the Chariot card, your living situation may also be under consideration right now. I feel like maybe for some of you, you're anticipating or, like, planning on moving somewhere, or maybe there's just, like, something about, like, forward direction in your career, or maybe there's just something about, like, the home life, because obviously the Chariot is ruled by Cancer, and I feel like there's an emphasis on home life. And with the Empress card, like, refers to abundance and motherhood. I feel like this kind of goes a bunch of different ways, but I feel like with the Empress card, you could be a mom, or you could have, like, motherhood may be involved for some of you, but regardless of the case, like, I feel like the goal is the Empress. And I feel like right now, like, it also seems as if, though, like, you're left with, because I've been saying, like, you've been left with a clean slate, this also means that I feel like you have a lot of energy, and with the Fool card, I feel like you have a lot of vigor. I don't know how to describe it. Like, I feel like you have a lot of, like, motivation and, like energy to go about these things, and, like, all the things I mentioned, when it comes to, like, making money, and, pursuing a job, or, like, going, like, something regarding community, something to get you off your feet and get you out of the house. I feel like these type of things, like, the things, like, anything related to those, it's just like, you have a lot of what it takes, and you have a lot of the capacity to go about them now, because you're out of that rut I was talking about. And I feel like with the Fool card here, it does seem as if, though, you're embarking on new adventures right now, and I feel like there has been a lot of changes in your life, especially regarding to some of y'all's household. Like, there may be, like, I don't know, with the Empress card and the Fool card, like, that almost makes me want to believe, like, maybe for some of you there's, like, a new mother involved in your life. But, like, I don't know, like, I feel like a lot of people have been having kids lately, or, like, there's been, like, huge themes of, like, motherhood or, like, children. But, regardless of the case here, I definitely do feel as if, though, there's just this sense of, like, motherhood, home life, career, moving forward, limitations, and new setbacks, and new challenges. in your life, and because of that it's caused you to think more critically and like more realistically, you know. I feel like you've been very creative about things, and I feel like you, like I said, like I just feel like you've been very creative. And I very much think that with the Four of Cups here, you've been thinking a lot about these things. And I feel like it's like kind of stimulating for you. I feel like this is good for you. I feel like it's really nice when you have like a lot of set like standards, you know, like, oh, like this, and this means I can't do this job, or like I can't do this, I can't leave the house because of this, you know. I feel like it feels really good for you when the lines are very clear. That's ironic because this deck is called Black Line. But anyways, what I'm trying to say here is I feel like you do really well when there's like very clear boundaries and there's clear lines that are not meant to be crossed. And I feel like it's very clear when like you have standards, you know, like I can do this, this, and this. I feel like you've set a lot of boundaries for yourself, and you've been very clear about what it is that you're trying to do and how much you're trying to earn. And it's just like, I'm just sensing that you've done a very good job of establishing healthy balances in your life, and your life has definitely improved over the past few months. And moving forward, it's very good to keep this momentum going and understand, pile forward, like it's just not always going to be this way. So don't freak out too much about this moment, and don't think that this is all it's going to be for a while now. And understand that like things are going to change drastically moving forward, especially since like, you know, after the first batch of cards I pulled only major arcana with the Chariot, the Empress, and the Fool. So it's like, do understand that like moving forward it's only going to get more and more hectic, and like you're going to start picking up more and more responsibilities, and there will be a lot of things coming up for you, but like a lot of good things too, you know. And it's like I don't sense like any endings in this reading, you know. I don't see like a Ten of Swords or something like that. So that leads me to believe like, you know, things are changing and that you really face the hardships, and that like the hard part is truly over, and now it's about like moving forward, you know. And I feel like for some of you, maybe you'd be applying to new jobs, you know. For some of you could also, like I keep hearing like going back to school, or like considering going back to school, or like thinking about it. And it's just like, you know, something about new beginnings regarding your community, your career, and your money. And it's very much something that has been weighing on your mind for now, and I almost feel like it's been kind of hazy, and I feel like it's been kind of blurred, you know. Like, you know what you need to not do, and you know the things that you can't do, but because of that, there's just causing like this weird haze where you're like, okay, but I don't know what I want to do and what I need to do, you know. It's like I can't do this, but like now I don't know what I want to do because all these options have been presented to you. And maybe it's been kind of like confusing and a little bit like disorienting, you know. It's like, okay, well, I know what I can't do and I know what I don't need to be doing, but it's like now I don't know what I want to do. And because of that, I also feel like that's been stressing you out, you know. Like, I don't know what I want to do with myself, you know. I feel like that's maybe a huge fear of yours, and honestly, like, who wouldn't be afraid of that? Who wouldn't be afraid of like, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do with myself, you know? Like, what should I do? Like, I have all this time. But, you know, regardless of the case, like, I really do feel as if though, like, you should really start defining to yourself what makes you feel good and what makes you happy and what you deem as wholeness and abundance, you know. You know, the Empress card doesn't always have to deal with motherhood, you know. It deals with abundance and having everything at your fingertips. So define that to yourself, you know. Is having abundance owning your own place, having your own car, having money, you know, having a good group of friends, you know, having enough Lunchables in the fridge, I don't know, whatever it is that you deem as stability, define that to yourself and manifest it, because otherwise you'll just keep manifesting like very stressful situations, or you'll put yourself in unfulfilling situations, you know. Better to like, you know, haul arse and like stress out a little bit for the things that you want, rather than live comfortably with a life that's less than satisfying. So yeah, what else do we got here? We also have Knight of Swords. And then we also have Five of Cups. Okay, so one thing that I'm hearing, pile 4, is with the Knight of Swords, be careful with your impulses. Hold back on your impulses and don't be like, how do I say, like, don't be overly eager, or like don't like really think through things, especially when it comes to money. Maybe you have like impulsive spending habits, or maybe they're just like something about like how you handle money or how you handle decision making that can come off as a little bit like impulsive, or a little bit like it's like either A, you make up your mind too fast, or B, you take forever to make up your mind. And it's about finding the middle ground, because I feel like with the Five of Cups being here, it's really like easy for you to accidentally manifest disappointments, or for you to like attract situations that are not as favorable. And I think that it's very important that like you once again like defined yourself what it is that you're looking for, and you like save with intention, you know. It's like save with intention and move forward with conviction. And what I mean by that is like, you know where you don't need to be, but because of the, like you, that's good, but like as a result, like you don't know where you're going right now, and because of that, it's like kind of disorienting, you know. Like at least set like a point, you know, at least be like, okay, this is where I would like to see myself in like maybe a few months or a few years. And it's just like, maybe that's scary, but like I think that's a lot less scary than like, you know, like living a life out that's unfulfilling or like unrealistic, or one that doesn't align with your values or morals, you know, pile 4. So I feel like with the Knight of Swords and 5 of Cups here, control your impulses and hold back on some of the ideas you have, and not like oh, don't execute them, but like be careful who you tell about your ideas, and be careful how you make decisions based on your ideas and like your inspirations, because I do feel as if though not everyone is like, how do I say it? I feel like not everyone has your best interest in mind, and because of that, like you may be very susceptible to the evil eye. So maybe pick up some evil eye bracelets, or like really get into evil eye to like protect yourself. But honestly, pile 4, I must say, like I feel like evil eye is kind of like a placebo thing in a way, because you know, like when I feel like you're more being conscious of the fact that you're getting the evil eye is like more safe than like constantly wearing it, because when you wear it, it's like you're constantly aware of the fact that you may be getting the evil eye. It's like how I say is like, you know, when you bite your tongue by accident, it hurts like hell, but when you bite it on purpose, it's like not as bad, you know. And that's what I'm sensing here. Like, you know, move forward with like intention, and very much understand that like whether or not you like it, like you have to move forward in a direction that you like, otherwise it's like you're gonna be doomed to a life that's like not as satisfying. And I hate to scare you like that, pile 4, but like that's just how it is, and I think that that's how it is, like regardless of like you receive this reading or not. And I do think that like you need like a bit of a wake up call, because you need to understand that like this is very real, and like the disappointments you have faced are very valid, and it's annoying, but also I feel like it's to a degree humbling, you know. I feel like I'm kind of like being a little bit vague here, or a little bit like enigmatic, but like the reality is like I feel like a lot of you, like this pile, like you've had very colorful experiences when it comes to hardships and like confusing situations, heartbreaks and pain and disappointments, and I feel like those have really set you back and really distorted your standard of like what you see in yourself and how you want to move forward, and like whether or not you feel like success is something you're worthy of. But like those are just beliefs that have been taught to you. There's no true argument as to why you can't be where you want to be. So that's why I'm saying like pile 4, the minute you understand like, hey, like I'm worthy of making this much money, and I'm worthy of getting out there and doing what I want to do, and finding something that really suits me, resonates with me, and really fills up my cup, the sooner you affirm that to yourself, and the sooner that you believe that, the faster you'll manifest it. Because like right now, it's like you're not really, your manifestation power is too scattered, and because of that, it's just attracting you even more confusing situations and a little bit more like petty inconveniences, and like this weird mundane life that doesn't even really resonate with you. And I feel like you don't really have a set schedule, and maybe that's been kind of stressing you out and causing a little bit of disappointment. But I feel like it's just like about cultivating more ideas and knowing what you want, you know. I feel like that's where the struggle really lies. So we have some oracle cards here, and I'm really excited to show you them. So take these messages like for how they are, like take them very literally. I feel like they're very positive affirmations. So for this card we have don't let your past hold you back, the South Node. And then we have broken ring, parting of the ways in either romance or business. Diamond, you'll be receiving or giving a precious gift. Love that. Arrow, you are on the right path regarding some aspect of your life. And flowers, happiness. Those are really good oracle cards here. I feel like with the broken ring card, that is kind of like I can see why that would be concerning, but I feel like the reality is that like you're letting go of things that don't serve you, as opposed to like things that like, you know, like everything happens for a reason, but I feel like in this case it's especially like emphasized, because I feel like you're letting go of something that didn't resonate with you, and I feel like you're letting go of a mindset and a lifestyle that didn't really serve you, or didn't really hone your manifestation powers as much as like it should have, you know. So yeah, do understand that like your life is about to get really good pile for it. And it's like the minute you decide it should get good is when it'll basically happen. But I do feel like regardless of like whether or not you step in, I do feel like this will kind of happen inevitably, because I feel like you're such a smart person. You're always growing. But yeah, that's all I have for you, pile 4. Thank you so much for watching. If the reading resonated, please like, comment, and subscribe. Check out my last video, the What Makes You Lovable, because it was a huge collab with Capricorn Venus Tarot and Moonful Readings. Those are some amazing channels to recommend you some other small channels that you may like. But yeah, other than that, thank you so much for watching. I love you. Bye.